As soon as you're born, you are given a name, a religion, a nationality, and a race, which you can never win. You spend the rest of your life defending a fictional identity. Gold and silver are money. Everything else is credit. JP Morgan, crook. If you eat before bed, you don't sleep. You may pass out for 8 hours, but your body isn't sleeping, since all your digestive organs are working at full power. When one has their last snack 4 to 5 hours before bed, they sleep better, have enhanced dreams, and their cells undergo a more extensive repair cycle. 5G users be like, it's fast though. There was no famine in Ireland. It was genocide caused by the British government. Though the Zionist government would be a better term for them. Illuminati exposed. This is resistance. Did you know that out of the 800,000 children who go missing in the USA and the world each year, many of them, before I continue, let me just say that, 800,000 a year. Now, I'm not saying they all go for child sacrifices, but the majority of them will do, or into the sex trade. Are abducted, drugged by the CIA, Secret Service and Italian Mafia. I would hasten to add the Khazarian Mafia, as we'll come to later. To be used as sex slaves for the royal families, Illuminati families and their guests, politicians, CEO, execs. Used in joint human-alien secretive underground bases for genetic experiments, crossbreeding, interbreeding, sex and cloning. Many of the children abducted come from broken homes, so they won't be missed. This is about Facebook now. Stop posting your kids' pictures on Facebook. It's a paedophile-run platform, and all you are doing is adding to the menu. Check the links on this list. They'll actually be in the description. The rest of them won't be, because I had a little bit of a problem. I've only got the links that will actually go with this, but the rest, if you see a post that you want to know more about, just put the title into a search engine, preferably anything but Google. I like DuckDuckGo, but whatever floats your boat. But let's try and get away from the Google platform, because it is so utterly corrupt. Stockholm Syndrome. Anyone know what it is? Well, a psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors, sometimes to the point of defending them. Sound familiar? We want to leave. We want to stay. Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, Greens, Brexit. We're all captured. Did you know Prince William is the secret owner of Serco? Serco now owns Obamacare and has a stranglehold on the world. But sheesh, it's a secret. Ex-Navy military veteran John Patterson, kidnapped, last seen at the Military Defence London delivering important documents in fear for his life, as taken with no trace. This was from yesterday, by the way. With all this surveillance and spying, how could paedophiles, rapists, murderers, war criminals, violent drug cartels, slave traders, despots, demon-worshipping child killers, terrorists, traitors, etc. be unhampered in their activities unless those are the ones running the surveillance and spy grids? New World Order agendas. Destroy the family, chip implants, mass infertility, replace animal food with synthetic meat, bestiality, ration food and resources, take over farming, legalise paedophilia, sexualised children, carbon tax, artificial wombs, hermaphrodites, cloning, one world government, one world new age religion. digital world currency so we can rob you all and you can't say a damn word about it. That's what a cashless society, that's why they're pushing it so much, because they can steal everything off you and there will be nothing you can do to stop it. As you can see here, 3,250, that's the number of staff at DWP investigating benefit fraud of 1.2 billion. 300, that's the number of staff at HMRC investigating tax evasion of 70 billion. There seems to be a disparity there. There are currently 3,250 people examining benefit fraud, while there are only 300 HMRC people examining the fraud by those that are wealthy tax dodgers. Why is it that there is one rule for the rich and another for the poor? Dennis Skinner, Labour's longest serving MP. The painful truth. The order follower always bears more moral culpability than the order giver, because the order follower is the one who actually performs the action and is taking such action actually brought the result harm into physical manifestation. Order followers is the pathway to every form of evil and chaos in the world. It should never be seen as a virtue by anyone who considers themselves a moral human being. Order followers ultimately have been personally responsible and morally culpable for every form of slavery and every single totalitarian regime that has ever existed upon the face of the earth. That's your army, your navy, your air force, your police, anyone that thinks they have some sort of power over you, have some sort of order. They've been given an order and that makes them free from any prosecution. Unfortunately, with the police, it does seem to be the way, because the police seem to be able to commit murder and get away with it, because who investigates the police? The police. Oh, but no, because we have the we used to have the Independent Police Complaints Commission, which was made up of police. Now we've got the whatever it is now, it's just made up of police. So we've still got the police investigating the police, and then we wonder why the police get away with it every single time. QAnon. Within our lifetime, we will see all the world's lakes, oceans, rivers and waterways restored to purity. That's within our lifetime. As well as soil and farmland. We will cease using toxic chemicals on our food, pharmaceutical companies will be dismantled, holistic healing practices will be the norm, governments will be eradicated, and the people of each nation will govern themselves. Clean, free energy will be utilised. Big changes are coming for humans, and the manipulators of humanity are terrified of the inevitable reality. It's game over for them. CDC exposed as private corporation colluding with Big Pharma. Wow, what a shock. We all knew that anyway though, didn't we? The illusory notion that the federal regulatory agency known as the Centre for Disease and Control and Prevention, CDC, is somehow a public entity working on behalf of the people to protect us all from disease is simply laughable. The CDC, by definition, is a private corporation, as are the governments, the police force, the army. They're all private corporations working on behalf of its shareholders, which include key players in the pharmaceutical and vaccine industries that profit from the spread of disease, not from real prevention and cures. The first and most obvious clue that the CDC isn't what it appears on the surface is the fact that this supposed government agency is listed in the official Dun & Bradstreet directory as a for-profit corporation. Just like the US government, the British government, the police force, Nottinghamshire police force, they're all listed, they're all corporations. We've been had over, we've sussed it out, it's time to end it now. D&B is a Fortune 500 company based in New Jersey that maintains databases on more than 235 million companies worldwide. It's a world whose It's a who's who of the global business climate and is recognised as one of the first companies to be publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Here's a screenshot of the CDC's listing on DNB, courtesy of Anti-Corruption Society. So for that, you can see the actual link is actually at the top of the page there. But if you just put CDC exposure as a private corporation colluding with Big Pharma, you will find the link for that if you want to have a further look into it, which we should all be looking deeper into everything and seeing what's really going on. November 5th, 2019. The corruption remedy process continues. 2. Prime Minister, Attorney General, Opposition Leader, other party leaders, plus all MPs. The corruption claims and election fairness claim continue to get issued, denial fraud proof, dismissal fraud proof and restraint fraud proof against the High Court Masters and Justices. The choice for political party leaders is to deliver corruption remedies for the victims or create remedy denial fraud proof for the Crown and Parliament against themselves. The remedy denial fraud proof will be election fraud proof for the people, Crown and Parliament against all liable parties. The political party leaders can use the corruption remedy case to make consent remedy order agreements with the victims. Mass remedies need profession, practice, monopoly enforcement restraint orders against the state and professional authorities. The criminal conspiracy proof includes state-ordered murder, proof against doctors and court fraud proof against lawyers and law court judges. The harassment frauds by West Yorkshire Police, Sussex Police and Cheshire Police against citizens Mr Awadaya, Mr Taylor and Mr Mustafa are similar fact fraud proof for election fraud claims. A parental consent request and reasons denial fraud by the health master of the local school aroused the suspicion of citizen Mr Awadi. He discovered without parental consent medication frauds and disabled child budget frauds. He made fraud complaints and got the rapid response of firearms possession, defamation frauds, violent personality defamation frauds by West Yorkshire Police. He and his wife got criminal conspiracy proof against government lawyers and the law courts. It includes forgery and perjury. It included law practice, registration denial frauds. Citizen Mr Awanda used it to get criminal conspiracy protection fraud against the solicitors. Again, the corruption remedy process continues. If you do a search for that, or the link is at the top of the screen there if it's not in the description. ABC anchor. British royals threatened us a million different ways over Prince Andrew Jeffrey Epstein story. If royals threatened to withhold interviews with Prince William and Kate Middleton, it wouldn't be the first time they have been accused of trying to protect Andrew in the Epstein scandal. ABC News is facing difficult questions Tuesday over anchor Amy Roebuck's hot mic complaints that the network killed her investigation story about Jeffrey Epstein's alleged trafficking of underage sex slaves and his circle of rich and powerful friends, including Prince Andrew. But ABC is not the only institution that's been embarrassed by the leaked video clip of Roebuck, which was released by the right-wing group Project Veritas. Of course, you've got to be left or right-wing. You can't just be out there to expose corruption. The British royal family will once again face questions and backlash over Andrew's decade-long association with Epstein. That's because Roebuck said the palace, presumably Buckingham Palace, put pressure on the network to suppress the story. Roebuck said the story was to include a 2015 interview with Virginia Roberts Guthrie, one of Epstein's alleged sex slaves. Guthrie, 35, has claimed in a lawsuit in interviews that she was forced to have sex with Andrew 3 times in 2001 when she was 17. Of course, I think over in America it's either 18 or 21 for the age of consent. So that just shows you that he's a paedophile. Wow, what a shock. Now, the link to this one is in the description, but it's also at the top of the screen there. Or you can just do a search for it. The hidden history of the incredibly evil Khazarian Mafia. Secret history of the Khazarian Mafia and its evil plan to hijack the whole world now revealed for the first time. and you do want to read this. I've just this morning read this all the way through. Very interesting, although I knew a lot of it anyway. The history of the Khazarians, specifically the Khazarian Mafia, KM, the world's largest organised crime syndicate that the Khazarian oligarchy morphed into by their deployment of Babylonian money magic, has been nearly completely excised from the history books. The present day KM knows that it cannot operate or exist without object secrecy, and therefore has spent a lot of money having its history excised from the history books, in order to prevent citizens of the world from learning about its evil beyond imagination that empowers the world's largest organised crime cabal. And it makes some very, very interesting reading. So I strongly suggest you do find that link if it's not in the description and have a read. It's not a massively long read. It took me about 10 minutes to read it. Very interesting. The Guardian. Can an introvert learn to be an extrovert? Who cares? Now this is more interesting. Watson quits as deputy as Corbyn strengthens grip. Now, for those that don't know, you mustn't have been listening to me in the past, because Watson is a full-on, hard-on paedophile. He was caught with, seriously, the highest level of serious child porn on his laptop. And because he's the deputy PM, or deputy to the Labour, he just walked free. No investigation, no charges. Because they're in the pedo club, they get away with it all the time. New questions about direction as party of leading critic walks away. He should be walking to jail. PM goes on attack after high-profile Tory gaffes. Adams quits boxing over site fears. The lying graph. After a day of dead cats, Johnson gets his bounce back among the Conservative faithful. Now, this was some speeches. I haven't actually seen it myself, but I was reading what people were saying about it, and they were saying this is a totally put-up job. These are all Conservatives. They're all behind him. It was anything but an impartial question answer. It was the usual sort of bullshit where, you know, they pretend that it's impartial when actually, in fact, it's not. The paedophile Watson quits Commons. Labour's deputy leader. Resignation could trigger other moderate MPs follow as Corbyn election campaign risks sliding into chaos. Now, of course, this has all been designed because, as I've said many a time before, they run and control everything that goes on. And so this is them just getting it ready for which way they want it to go. Because they have multiple options of how they end it up. Most likely it will end up as with the sheer power, but then again, they shouldn't have any power because they're all utterly corrupt. Make manufacturers pay for their waste. Well, most do these days, and like pubs that pay rates, which is just robbery, really. Theatre ceiling falls on audience in West End. Climate activists stand to win $1 million in payouts. Well, that's no incentive for them to be climate activists, then, is there? Rob Shaw, rugby dirty as every other sport. As we know, everything's controlled and fixed and controlled again. The Times. Watson, the paedophile, quits as deputy leader of Labour Party. MP stands down from Commons after clashes with Corbyn and VIP sex case fiasco, which he should have been involved in, but of course it's probably something separate, probably to do with a Keith Vaz or whatever. Workers halve absence rates by calling time on sick days. Tory linked to Russia. HS2 budget overrun. Oh wow, what a shock again. Surge for Oxbridge, Hong Kong stabbing. M&S boss rejects split, strips Saracen's plea. Aye. Green light for Extinction Rebellion. That's a Soros-funded organisation, just so you know, in case you didn't know. Set back for police after High Court rules against use of blanket bans to stop citywide climate protests, because it's what they want and they run the court. So the course, it's just, when you see it, it's laughable. It becomes a joke. Tributes to a trailblazer Olympic hero Nicholas Adams hangs up his gloves. Chelsea abuse survivors angry at having to relive trauma. Labour stunned as the paedophile Watson quits. Battle for the soul of the party reignites as deputy leader resigns. Leading moderate had clashed repeatedly with Corbyn over several years, but parts of on good terms. Shock decision to quit frontline politics leaves Labour centrists angry and dismayed. Jeff Goldblum, Miley Cyrus and me. Does that mean he's a pedo as well? I don't know. Crawl through Berlin Wall tunnel in new VR show. No thanks. Bumpy ride. When to ignore pregnancy advice. Kentucky Fried. What shock loss means to Trump. The Daily Fail. Day one of the campaign proper, and as Boris channels Churchill to wow Tory faithful, the most embarrassing start of all for Corbyn. Labour's election calamity as deputy walks out. Yeah. Mirror. Watson quit shock. Meet the greatest gift to the Lotto has ever given. Power to the North. Labour pledge irreversible shift of institutions and cash away from London. You're going to want to watch to the end of this because there's something about that very subject, as you'll see. 150 billion to boost schools, care homes, hospitals and council tax houses. Oh, so we're not going to tell you a pack of lies again, and then as soon as we get elected, go back on it. Okay then. Metro. Can we win? Stowe. Well, none of you should win. It should be for the people, not for yourselves. Express. I kept eating disorder secret for 10 years. Fern Cotton. Life's too short. I've made it up and with Dad. Boris, come with us or get horror show. PM warning over Corbyn extremism. Labour turmoil as Deputy Watson quits. It's all smoke and mirrors. We all know that now, and thankfully it looks like the majority of the sleepers out there are starting to see it. The scum. Boris, why I must Winnie? Yeah, because you're a pooey. Moment footy ace foils robbers. Knifeman nil, Gunners 1. Arsenal hero face down armed thugs. Waste of paper. Fern's 10-year secret eating disorder. And I've made it up with Dad. Unbelievable Jeff. Footy pundit tackles pop icon for Christmas number 1. FT. Labour's vow to take borrowing to 400 billion fires spending battle. McDonnell sets out public sector investment boost. Javid describes fantasy economics. Well, they're all fantasy economics. SoftBank's son apologises for turning a blind eye to costly WeWork failings. City Hope Bell can chart way out of economic musk. Merc. And finally, why do regular Barbies cost $19.95 and divorce Barbie costs $299.99? Divorce Barbie comes with Ken's car, Ken's house, Ken's boat, Ken's furniture, Ken's jewellery, Ken's money, Ken's computer and Ken's best friend. Do all fairy tales begin with once upon a time? No, many of them begin, if I'm elected, I promise. When you die and you're not leaving anyone, you're shit.